Hare Krishna. So, I'll just share my screen. Yes. So, we are continuing introduction to Bhagavad Gita. Last time we discussed how Prabhupada has mentioned twice this verse 8.6, Bhagavad Gita verse 8.6, that whatever one remembers the time of quitting the body, one will get that kind of a body or life in the next birth without fail. And then he mentions how at the present our consciousness is mostly into material things, but how it can be transferred to the spiritual part by um, taking help from the spiritual scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, and presently our mind and everything is absorbed in newspapers and magazines, so on, like a typical karmi. But when one comes to bhakti, one goes through, instead replaces them with Prabhupada's books, or like Bhagavad Gita, we have lectures and so on. So that's how we can observe ourselves in Krishna consciousness. And then we saw, I think we are supposed to start from here. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 20.22, there is the following verse. Nisha Mataji, would you be able to read this part, what I have highlighted?
Hare Krishna Mataji, may I read?
Yes, Mataji.
Maya Mugda Jivera Nahi Swata Krishna Jana Jivera Kripya Kaila Krishna Veda Purana. The forgetful living entities or conditioned souls have forgotten their relationship with the Supreme Lord, and they are engrossed in thinking of material activities just to transfer their thinking power to the spiritual sky. Krishna Devpayana Vyasa has given a great number of Vedic literatures. First, he divided the Vedas into four, then he explained them in the Puranas, and for less capable people he wrote the Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata there is given the Bhagavad Gita. Then all Vedic literature is summarized in the Vedanta Sutra, and for the future guidance he gave a natural commentations on the Vedanta Sutra called Srimad Bhagavatam. We must always engage our minds in reading these Vedic literatures, just as materialists engage their mind in reading newspapers, magazines, and so many materialistic literatures. We must transfer our reading to these literatures which are given to us by Vyasdeva. In that way, it will be possible for us to remember the Supreme Lord at the time of death. That is the only way suggested by the Lord, and He guarantees the result, there is no doubt. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. Okay, so what is mentioned here? This verse is taken from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. Maya Mugdha Jivera Nahi Sata Krishna Gyana Jivara Kripaye Kaila Krishna Veda Purana. So, what does it mean? The forgetful living entities or conditioned souls like we, who have forgotten our actual, who we actually are, and our relationship with the Lord, and we are engrossed in all kind of material stuff. Now, just to transfer the thinking power to the spiritual sky or the spiritual world, Krishna Dvapayana Vyasa, means Vyasadev, has given so many Vedic literatures in the form of Vedanta Sutra, then 4 Vedas, and so many of them. First divided the Vedas into 4, and then he gave the Mahabharata, Vedanta Sutra, the Upanishads, and so on. And Srimad Bhagavatam is actually now the Vedanta. Now there are a vast number of scriptures. If we see Vedic scriptures, and practically it is not possible for an ordinary person to go through all these literatures, all these scriptures in one lifetime, or probably, and we have this forgetful tendency and so on. But Prabhupada has given the cream, because Vyasadeva has given so many scriptures, but still he was not satisfied. And at the end, when he was after giving literatures also, he was not satisfied. Then Narada Muni could understand. Narada Muni is a spiritual master of Sri Vyasadeva. So he came to him, and when Vyasadeva inquired about why he is not satisfied, then Narada Muni mentioned that because you have not explained the different purely devotional service. So the rest part of the scriptures, now there are different kinds of people in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness. So for everyone, there is something mentioned in the scriptures what they can follow, and gradually they can rise beyond the modes. But pure devotional service, that is specifically given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is it's a commentary by the author himself. I mean Vyasadeva, commentary on Vedanta Sutra, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. Which in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will see that this it's mentioned that in the first or second shloka, that this Srimad Bhagavatam, it contains only pure devotional service, only about the devotees, about the Lord, and the dealings, or the kind of their relationship between devotees and the Lord, and so on. There's nothing, all kind of pseudo religions and everything is kicked out from the Bhagavatam. We must always engage our mind in reading these Vedic scriptures. So this we had discussed, I think, this paragraph. Anyways, like newspapers, magazines, and all people read. So Vyasadeva has given us these Vedic scriptures. If we absorb ourselves in all these scriptures, then like Krishna guarantees that at the time of leaving the body, whatever you remember, now we have absorbed our whole life, we have absorbed our consciousness in all these Vedic scriptures, in understanding Krishna and devotional service and so on. So automatically one will remember the same thing at the time of leaving the body. So that is a guarantee of the Lord. Then tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mama nusmara vyudhya cha Mayapita mano buddhir mame vaishesi sa ashamshaya. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time continue your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So this is the next verse in the 8th chapter, 8.7, that Krishna is saying to Arjuna that, okay, now in this way you should always be thinking of me, at the same time carry out your prescribed duties. Like Arjuna was in the battlefield about to fight, so Krishna is mentioning, okay, you should fight, but at the same time you should be always absorbed in me. Now next paragraph, Aditi Mataji, are you available to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji, yes Mataji will read. He does not advise Arjuna simply to remember him and give up his occupation. No, the Lord never suggests anything impractical. In this material world, in order to maintain the body, one has to work. Human society is divided according to work into 4 divisions of social order: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. The Brahmana class or intelligent class is working in one way, the Kshatriya or administrative class is working in another way, and mercantile class and the laborers are all tending to their specific duties. In the human society, whether one is laborer, merchant, administrator, or farmer, or even if one belongs to the highest class and is a literary man, a scientist, or a theologian, he has to work in order to maintain his existence. The Lord therefore tells Arjuna that he need not give up his occupation, but while he is engaged in his occupation, he should remember Krishna. Mam Anusmara. If he doesn't practice remembering Krishna while he is struggling for existence, then it will not be possible for him to remember Krishna at the time of death. Lord Chaitanya also advises this. He says, Kirtanyaya Sada Hari. One should practice chanting the names of the Lord always. The names of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. So Lord Krishna's instruction to Arjuna to remember me and Lord Chaitanya's instruction to always chant the names of Lord Krishna are the same instruction. There is no difference because Krishna and Krishna's name are non-different. In the absolute status, there is no difference between reference and referent. Therefore, we have to practice remembering the Lord always, 24 hours a day, by chanting his names and molding our lives' activities in such a way that we can remember him always. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Okay. So, Prabhupada is mentioning it's not that Krishna gave an impractical solution to Arjuna that, okay, you just remember me, just like so called scriptural, so called spiritual leaders who are actually not spiritual leaders may propagate, okay, you have to sit like this just to meditate. You give up everything, no need to do anything, just meditate. First of all, our mind is not, mind is like so much fickle. We cannot focus on a certain work, whatever we may be doing. So it's practically in the Kali Yuga, it's not very feasible for one to sit and meditate. Might be an exceptional, but practically it's not for an ordinary person. So for Arjuna also, Krishna didn't say, okay, you just meditate on me or think about me and do nothing. No, he didn't say that. The Lord never suggests anything impractical. In this material world, in order to maintain the body, one has to work. Human society is divided according to work into 4 divisions of social order, and practically, if you see, the Pandavas were belonging to Kshatriya order, the royal order. So there are Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. The Brahmana class or intelligent class is working in one way, the Kshatriya administrative class is working in another way, and mercantile, the Vaishyas, who take care of the cows and trading, and the laborers are all tending to this. So laborers are the Shudras. They give service to the other 3 sections. Now, this classification is not based on birth. We will come across a verse in Bhagavad Gita also where Krishna mentions guna karma vibhagasha. It's according to one's qualities and activities. The one is classified as a Brahmana or a Vaishya or a Kshatriya or a Shudra. In the human society, whether one is a laborer, merchant, administrator, farmer, or even if one belongs to the highest class and is a literary man, a scientist, theologian, he has to work in order to maintain his existence. Now, practically, one has to do something. The Lord therefore tells Arjuna that he need not give up his occupation, but while he is engaged in his occupation, he should remember Krishna. So, our now here occupation in Arjuna's case, he was in the battlefield about to fight, so it is specifically meaning to that. And in our case, if we see, whatever, if you are a student, then it's not that, okay, I have now come to bhakti, I need not do all these studies and all, I'll just give up, drop out. So if one is so much advanced, it may be feasible, but we are not so much advanced, or we are not so much eager for spiritual life yet. So better we continue instead of later regretting and so on. Better we continue whatever we are doing, at the same time make bhakti the Krishna the center of whatever we are doing. Now there is an example. Practically, if somebody is a very advanced devotee, they may give up everything and be fully devoted or dedicated to the mission of Lord Chaitanya and so on. But an ordinary person, for that there is an example that I have heard from one devotee. There was one boy, he wanted to join temple full time, become a brahmachari. So he was coming earlier and then he was wanting to join as a brahmachari. So the authority said, okay, you come. Then he came to the temple started staying there, temple or base or something. Started staying there, but after some few days he was remembering, oh, what will be happening to my mother at home, what will be happening at home, how they will be managing, and so on. So the authority said, no problem, you can go back home, you can stay at your home, you can do your job and everything there, and still, I mean, at the same time, you can practice bhakti. It's not that you have to give up everything and come and stay in the temple. So he went back home. Now, somebody who is very much determined, they may practically become a brahmachari. Just an example, brahmachari. But not everybody is on that level. So, whatever one is doing, whatever phase of life one is in, one can um, continue those activities at the same time, make them all, dovetail everything in Krishna's service. So, that is the essence. The Lord therefore tells Arjuna that he need not give up his occupation, but while he is engaged in occupation, he should remember Krishna. If he doesn't practice remembering Krishna while he's, now this is very important. We generally have a question, isn't it? I also uh, get this question sometimes that, oh, there is so much of struggle, this problem, that problem, somebody, nobody is supporting in my bhakti, everybody is just teasing me or something. And I have so much of study, so much of work, how will I manage my chanting, this and that. Now, what is mentioned here, if he doesn't practice remembering Krishna while he is struggling for existence, present at the present time, we are struggling for existence practically, to get a little two or three pieces of chapati. One has to work in the office for 8 hours, 9 hours every day. We're struggling for existence. Then it will not be possible for him to remember Krishna at the time of death. So if we have complained that, okay, my situation and this one is not very much favorable for me to practice bhakti, to chant my rounds, to do my, practice bhakti properly, then if we have complained now, then how can we expect that at the time of death we can become Krishna conscious? Sometimes one may have a habit of delaying that, okay, now I'm just a student, so let me just complete my studies, then when I will get a job, then I can do my bhakti nicely. When one gets job, then okay, now I'm very much busy in my job, let me settle down little bit with nice home and all, and then I will do bhakti. So, and then, okay, one has a family and kids and all, oh, my kids and all are there, I don't have time, after retirement I'll do. What happens? One day, that day comes when one has to leave the body, and the whole life we wasted in saying, okay, I'll do tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. That tomorrow never came. So at whatever situation we are in, as soon as we come in contact with Krishna consciousness, we should immediately take up the process. There will be struggles, there's no doubt about it. This material world is like that, but at the same time, we should in a determined way, we should practice bhakti. So that effort Krishna will notice, and he will help us. Lord Chaitanya also advises this. He says, Kirtaniya Sadahari. One should practice chanting the names of the Lord always, and we are not doing that. This is the instruction. Prabhupada has made it very simple that only 16 rounds. Earlier, Prabhupada, when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it was 64 rounds every day. But when Prabhupada gave it to the Westerners, hippies and all, when they became devotees, 64 rounds every day, it was practically impossible for them. Then he made 32. That was also not possible. Then Prabhupada made it, okay, 16. Minimum 16, not less than that. So he's given a concession to us. So one should practice chanting, but actual instruction is what? Because Prabhupada is given, okay, chanting 16 minimum rounds. At the same time, he has given us so many devotional services, devotional, Krishna conscious engagements, which when one is properly engaged in services, that is also kind of kirtanam. The names of the Lord and Lord are non-different. So Lord Krishna's instructions to Arjuna to remember me and Lord Chaitanya's injunction to always chant the names of Lord Krishna are the same instruction. So Krishna, now you may say, you may be feeling thirsty. You may say water, water, water. So now just by saying water, your thirst will not be, it will not quench your thirst. You have to go and get a glass of water and drink it, because the word water, the sound vibration water, and actual water is different. But it's not the case when it comes to the holy names. When we say Krishna, Krishna is actually personally present. Though we are not able to perceive, we are not that realized, but actually, at least we should understand from the scriptures that there is no difference between Krishna and his holy names. There's no difference because Krishna and Krishna's names are not different, non-different. In the absolute status, there's no difference between reference and referent. Therefore, we have to practice remembering the Lord always 24 hours a day by chanting his names and molding our lives activities in such a way that we can remember him always. So, our activities and everything should be centered around him. Now, one may ask, how is it practically possible? So here it is. Nisha Mataji, would you like to read this paragraph? Okay, probably you are not available to read. Aditi Mataji, are you available?
Yes, Mataji. Arjuna Uvacha, Yoyam Yogas Tvaya Prokta,
Hare
Samyena
Krishna,
Madhusudana,
Hare Krishna,
Ittis.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Mataji. The one which is highlighted, how is this possible?
Okay, sorry,
Yes,
Mataji.
no problem.
How is this possible? The Acharyas give the following example. If a married woman is attached to another man, or if a man has an attachment for a woman, then his wife, other than his wife, then the attachment is considered to be very strong. One with such an attachment is always thinking of the loved one. The wife who is thinking of her lover is always thinking of meeting him, even while she is carrying out her household chores. In fact, she carries out her household work even more carefully so her husband will not suspect her attachment. Similarly, we should always remember the supreme lover, Sri Krishna, and at the same time perform our material duties very nicely. A strong sense of love is required here. If we have a strong sense of love for the Supreme Lord, then we can discharge our duty and at the same time remember Him. But we have to develop that sense of love. Arjuna, for instance, was always thinking of Krishna. He was the constant companion of Krishna, and at the same time, he was a warrior. Krishna did not advise him to give up fighting and go to the forest to meditate. When Lord Krishna delineates the yoga system to Arjuna, Arjuna says that practice of this system is not possible for him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mataji. So, yeah. So previously we saw about 24 hours we should be chanting the names of the Lord. So practically how one can do? One may, this inquiry naturally comes. Should I just sit and chant or do something? Or I should, I have my studies or work or this and that. Should I give up everything and sit and chant? So it's not something impractical. Prabhupada explains with an example. Now, if this is just a mundane example because we can very well understand mundane examples. So Prabhupada gives very nice examples to help us understand. So if somebody is married, if a woman is married, now she likes someone apart from her husband, then that attachment to that other person is so strong that she will do everything at home so perfectly that no one will doubt or no one will have any complaints against her. But all the while she'll be thinking, okay, I'll just finish all my things so that very quickly I can go and meet my beloved. So the wife who is thinking of her lover is always thinking of meeting him even while she is carrying out her household chores. In fact, she carries out her household work even more carefully so her husband will not suspect her attachment. So this is a mundane example. Now, how Prabhupada is comparing that's in this case that attachment is so strong. Similarly, we should have that strong attachment for Krishna. We should and whatever we may be doing as a student, as a housewife, as a working person, whatever we may be doing, we should always remember that supreme lover, Lord Sri Krishna, and at the same time execute all our duties and whatever things. A strong sense of love is required here. If we have a strong sense of love for the Supreme Lord, then we can discharge our duty and at the same time remember Him. But we have to develop that sense of love. And here, Arjuna, for instance, was always thinking of Krishna. He was the constant companion of Krishna. And Arjuna, he is just made an instrument so that he's put in that situation and so on, so that the Bhagavad Gita can be spoken to us. Arjuna is not a conditioned soul like us. He is a pure devotee already. He's a pure devotee. He was the constant companion of Krishna. At the same time, he was a warrior. So Krishna didn't advise him to give up fighting and go and to meditate or something like that. No, Krishna was repeatedly, in fact, Arjuna was wanting to give up the battle, but Krishna was repeatedly asking him to fight. And just in order to enlighten him, this whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Arjuna says that the practice now, when Krishna mentioned in the 6th chapter, it is given in details the yoga practice, controlling the breath and sitting postures and control the breath and then control the mind, so on. When Krishna explains that, then Arjuna says, okay, this is not possible for me. So Prabhat quotes, Arjuna vacha yoyam yogastvaya prokta samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat sitam stiram. This is our situation also. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. 6.33rd verse. So when we have so many yoga societies who may claim that, okay, if you sit like this and just do some pranayam and all, you can control your mind and this and that. Actually, this is not yoga. The actual yoga is what? Controlling the mind and everything is just a means to, is just a stepping stone. But one has to come to the point of relinking with the Lord, because the term yoga itself means to relink with the Lord. So, and what actual the mystic yogis, the yogis they used to do, that is not practical in this age. For an ordinary person, for a common person, it's not practical, because one has to find such a proper place, lay down certain things and then sit on it and then sit erect and this way. But practically we cannot even control our mind for a few moments. It's like a naughty child, keeps going here and there. So Arjuna, who is such a great personality, he himself mentioned it's not practical for me. So we can understand our position. But the Lord says, Yoginamapi sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamo mata. Of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself and renders transcendental loving service to me, is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So when we come across this 6th chapter, we will see that different yoga systems are given. But then Krishna's conclusion is what? That whoever is in bhakti yoga, they are the topmost. There are Kama yoga, Jnana yoga, Ashtanga yoga and so on. But bhakti yogi who is in bhakti yoga, they are considered the topmost. So one who thinks of the Supreme Lord always is the greatest yogi, the supermost jnani and the greatest devotee of the Lord, at the same time. The Lord further tells Arjuna that as a Kshatriya he cannot give up his fighting. But if Arjuna fights remembering Krishna, then he will be able to remember Krishna at the time of death. But one must be completely surrendered in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So because Krishna is wanting the fight to happen, so we will see ultimately Arjuna will fight in the battle. He was doing his prescribed duty just for the pleasure of the Lord. Means what? Simultaneously, he was continuously in remembrance or in Krishna conscious. At the same time, he was fighting. So it was a kind of devotional service. So this is what. Okay, I will stop here. If anybody has any questions, yeah, please, you can please feel free to ask. We can discuss on it, or else you can please share at least one point on what we discussed today. Highlight something.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, I have a question. Like it's mentioned that, one should always engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. But like in early stage of bhakti, we cannot develop that. So how can we develop it? Because, there's a lot of contamination within us and around us also. So how can we do that, Mataji? Because it's to develop love for God, I think that is the toughest.
Okay. Yes, that is in our present state. Yeah, it is a big thing to achieve. Now, small children, they may be playing outside. They may get dirty. Sometimes they may even get into mud and all. They become very dirty. So when they come home, the mother will send them to shower. To take a shower. Uh, so initially they are very dirty. So when the child goes for the bath, gradually after some time, the dirt is getting removed slowly. The child is still in the shower, and after 5-10 minutes after he's taken full bath, he's now completely clean. Now the time when he entered into shower, he was not clean, but he knew that okay, when I mean practically a sane person knows that when I get into the shower, once I have taken my bath completely, I'll come out clean. So in the same way, uh, we can understand that one, at least theoretically we can understand, okay, this bhakti process is something that I need to that will bring me to this state of transcendental loving service to the Lord. So presently I don't have it. So what do? I have to follow the process. Now to become clean, now to make the body clean, one has to take the shower. That's the process. So bhakti yoga is the process for us to come to this highest stage of transcendental loving service. So, and whatever Prabhupada has given us in this process, minimum rounds, 16 minimum rounds, and following for regulative principles, prasadam, devotee association. There is ABCD, it is said. Association, B for books, reading books, C for chanting, D for diet, that's Krishna prasadam, A, B, C, D, E for engagement, Krishna conscious activities or devotional activities, devotional service, practical services. So when one follows this process, then one can gradually be purified and one can practically see the difference oneself. A point when we were just introduced to Krishna consciousness, and when we must have practiced for, let's say, for a month, 2 months, 1 year, so we can see some difference at least in ourselves. So it shows that the cleansing is happening. Did that help, Mataji?
Thank you so much for explaining, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for your nice question. It helps practically myself to remind. So thank you for your question. Anyone else? Mataji, Nisha Mataji, you have anything to say? Or Pramila Mataji, you can either speak or put it in the chat box. Okay, if not, then we will close for today. Probably in one or two discussions we will finish this introduction part. Okay. So thank you so much, Matajis. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Matajis. Dandavat Pranam.